So who has seen the movie Toy Story before? So when I saw the movie Toy Story, that was the first time that I saw somebody get the skateboard off the ground. There's a scene in the movie where Sid is skating home at night, and he gets to his sidewalk, and he jumps up, and then he pops the board into his hand like that. And when I saw that, that blew my mind. And I thought, if he can do that, then I should be able to do it too. So the next day I got super excited, I got on my board, skated up to my sidewalk, and jumped. But the skateboard didn't come with me. And I was so confused. But that's exactly where science starts. It just starts with a question. And my question was, how did he keep his feet on the board? And I couldn't figure it out by myself. So I had to go down to the skate park. And all the other skaters and I started sharing our ideas, just like a group of scientists would. So we would try our tricks, and if they worked, we talked about how we landed them. But if we fell down, we talked about why we fell, so we could avoid making the same mistake. And the more we started working together, the more we realized understanding the science is what was helping us land harder tricks and stay safe while we were getting better. You guys want to learn the science behind the tricks today?
Yeah. Awesome. So, in order to get started doing these scientific experiments for skateboards, what type of gear do we need?
Alright, so how about right up here?
Yeah, perfect. You got it right. He said helmets, and a helmet is the most important part because scientists need safety gear when they do experiments. That way, if something goes wrong, they can do another experiment. So, a helmet. You definitely need a helmet. What is the helmet made out of? Yeah, he said it's made out of plastic. And who's heard of plastic before? Nice. So scientists now understand that plastics made from oil aren't that great for the plants and animals. But plastics can now be made out of plants, and that's really cool. So hopefully this helmet is made out of plant material. So we have a hard plastic on the outside. What about the inside? Can someone tell me what the inside's like? All right, right here. Yeah, she says it's soft and kind of squishy. So let's do an experiment to see how this hard stuff and this soft stuff work together to keep our brain safe. So, do we have anyone that's extra strong, feeling extra strong, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables lately? All right, so let's see. How about right up here? Awesome. Would you mind helping us out? Awesome. Come on down. And let's give a big round of applause for our first volunteer. Oh, yeah. All right, what's your name? Tegan. All right, so we have. Oh, Tegan. Okay. All right, so let's see. Who thinks he can lift Evan off? Let's see some hands. Nice, that's pretty good, guys. I think it'd be big to do it. But who thinks no, maybe not? That's pretty big in comparison. So that's cool too. So right there, we just took two different types of guesses. And the more guesses that we take before we do the experiment, the more we'll know after the experiment's over. So let's see if you can do it. All right, let's see if you can lift all of Evan's 160 pounds. All right, let's grab him and lift it 3, 2, 1. All right, so I think we're gonna need some teamwork here. So, all right, I've seen your guns over here. Would you like to come down in the blue? Oh yeah, all right. So we have another super strong scientist, and he's wearing the Superman shirt, but he's not Superman. Cool. All right, so he's just a really strong dude. Just happens to be a scientist. What's your name? All right, so Tristan's gonna help us out. We have Tristan, the scientist, and now that we have two scientists, we actually have a math problem. If Evan's 160 pounds. Split between two scientists. So 160 divided by 2 or cut in half is 80. Perfect. So 80 pounds is a lot to lift. Let's see if they can do it. All right, let's lift in 3, 2, 1. Lift up! Almost. All right, so they got like half of them up. So let's pick two more super strong people. All right, how about you for helping us out with number 4? And how about you in the number 4? Let's come down. Awesome. All right. We're going to mix that. All right, so. Awesome, thank you. Sweet, we need your help. Awesome. And now that we have 4 or 5 scientists, we actually have a new math problem. So each one will be lifting up less than. So let's see if they have what it takes. So let's lift in 3, 2, 1. Lift up! And that is our there, folks. Awesome. So if our 5 scientists are in the table in 1 second, we need your help again. But right there, we just saw this experiment that with more people, it was easier to pick up Evan because we were sharing Evan's weight. So if we all helped pick up Evan, would that be super easy? Yeah, totally. There's 160 of us here, and he's 160 pounds. That's 160 divided by 160. Yeah, that's like 1 pound each. You guys think you can lift up that? It's like lifting up a veggie burger or something. Yeah. But something else. A little dangerous, but I think you can stay safe with science. Let's see. What if we lifted him up with some nails?
Oh! So let's have our 5 scientists. You come up and just make sure the nails are real. So just come up and touch the nails. And you're testing them for everyone else. So if you touch with your whole hand, it might not feel as sharp. So if just one finger touches the tops of the nails, if you get nails. So if you guys think they're real, if you feel, give everyone thumbs up so they know that they're real. Awesome. So all 5 of them are saying they're definitely real nails. So you guys can sit back down. Thank you so much. Let's give them another round. And now that we know that these are real nails, who thinks they might get hurt if I lay down on them? And who thinks I might stay safe and I'll be alright? And who's not really sure? So that's a great answer too. A lot of the time in science, we don't have the answers yet. And that's perfectly fine. But if we really want to figure the answer out, what do we have to do? We have to try it, we have to test it. So, should I lay down right on the edge of the nails? No! Or should I spread out through the whole thing? Spread out! Alright, I'm hearing more spread out, so let's try that. Alright, scientists, give me a drum roll. Hey! Dude, how does that feel? Huh? It's actually pretty comfortable. Alright, so let's lift him up. And let's check out his back. Is his back bleeding? Then, can someone tell me how Evan stayed safe using science? Alright, so let's pick number 4. You were helping us out. How did Evan stay safe? Yeah, so he did lay down slowly, so that was part of it. So I saw someone's hand right here. Did you have a guess? How do you think it worked? Yeah, so he said I put myself as flat as I could be, so I could be even on all of the nails. That's perfect. That's actually how a helmet works. So let's figure this out. Let's take one finger, and let's poke the side of our heads. You'll feel all that force and all that pressure just in one tiny spot. But instead, let's take the full hand, and this will be like more nails. And if we press that on the side of our heads, you'll feel that's a little bit more comfortable, so that force and that push is being spread over more space. So that's how a helmet works. If we're skateboarding along, we get bonked on the head. Bonk. All that hard force, when it hits the hard plastic, it hits, and it can spread over more space. And it's spreading out, so it's keeping us safe. Just like it's spreading out over more nails or over more people. So 2 other quick tips. If you guys take 2 fingers and put that in your chin strap, that is exactly how tight your chin strap should be. And if you shake your head side to side, how much gonna rattle around, it should follow your head. That's how you know you have a safe fitting helmet. And speaking about helmets and safety, who has seen a beginner skateboarder get a skateboard for their first time and is super excited to try it out, but no one has taught them the science behind skateboarding yet? So then this happens. Woohoo! Alright, so we need a helmet if we fall down. But what helps us not fall down? You guys can yell it out. Balance! Perfect. So there is actually tons of science in balance. Who has heard of the center of gravity? Awesome. So everything has a center of gravity. The beautiful Earth that we all live on has an exact center. Objects like a skateboard, they have an exact center. Even humans have an exact center. The belly button. But what's really cool is we can spin the wheels on a skateboard, but when we spin the wheels, the shape of the skateboard doesn't change. So that center point will always be locked in the same spot. But human bodies, we can move all over the place and do yoga and karate. This dot can actually move around because it's the average of our weight. So let's do this. Let's include the weight of this skateboard in my own weight. Well, let's see what happens. So here's my center point, right here in the center. And if I take the skateboard and I move it up, my center of my gravity will go up. If I move it out, the center of gravity will go out. If I hold it super far over, beep, if I take my center point and pop it outside my own body. How crazy is that? So using that logic, where is the center of gravity on a donut? You can yell it out. In the hole in the middle. That's super cool to think about. So now I'm actually kind of hungry, but that's pretty cool. Now that we understand the center of gravity a little bit better, we have any expert balancers here. I need an expert in the field of balancing. All right, so let's see. I saw your hand go up and go down. Did I put you 2 right there? Awesome. Go. Yeah, awesome. And let's grab 2 more from this side. All right. How about you in the yellow, you in the muffin shirt? Awesome.
Cool. All right, let's give our 4 volunteers a big round of applause. Awesome. So we have these 4 scientists, and these 4 scientists are expert at balancing. They've actually been teaching yoga for 37 years, and so you guys have probably seen this move before, right? Nice, yeah, it's a tree pose. This is actually the happy tree pose. You have to be smiling while you do it. Awesome, look at that tree. Awesome, so, almost done. So, is this easier or harder to stand if you're only on one foot? What do you guys think? So, it is kind of easy, but we couldn't do it all day. It's actually harder because we're keeping our center foot over something a lot smaller now, so we have to work extra hard. So, I think we can do an experiment with this. All right, Mr. Happy Tree, can I use you for a second? All right, so I need you to poke me over in just 1 second. And I want everybody else to watch. If I go on one foot, here's my center of gravity, and as soon as my center of gravity crosses over this foot, that's when I'll start to fall. So as soon as my center goes over this edge, that's when I'll fall. So give my shoulder a poke, and let's really see what happens. Oh, that was pretty good. With just a little tiny bit of a force, he was able to knock my center of gravity outside of what was holding me up, and that's when I started to fall. But no one likes falling down, so let's work on a move all about balance. So this is actually a karate move, so let's spread out a little bit. And this move is called the horse stance. It's a little silly, but if you guys want to try this out with me, it looks a little bit like this. All right, ready? Set, go. Yes, perfect. And what this does is it lowers your center of gravity and your 2 feet get really wide. Yeah, that way you can lean all the way towards Evan, or all the way to stage left, and you won't fall over because your center isn't crossing over the edge of your foot. This is pretty cool. You'll see this in basketball or in soccer when someone's running really quickly and changing positions. They'll get low and wide. That way they won't tip over when they're making their turns. So let's give these 4 scientists, yoga, karate people a challenge. Let's all stand right here. And I need all of you 4 scientists to give me a force on my shoulder. I'm going to go into horse stance, and I'll be a lot more balanced. So we're going to need a lot more force to push my center of gravity over the edge of my foot. So take 2 hands, put them on the shoulder, and let's push in 3, 2, 1. Nice! Woo! Nice! Let's give that amazing round of applause. Now let's see how we use the science of balance to make some skateboard moves.
So, I started skating 13 years ago. Do you think I was good when I started?
No.
No. When I started, I pushed like this.
Kind of like a kangaroo with a broken foot.
And that's okay, because I was moving. But I had to push a lot to go a short distance, and I wasn't going very fast. And the reason that I pushed that way was because I was keeping my center of gravity over the pushing foot the whole time. So when I started to go, it was like I was just hopping on that one foot, dragging the boards along. But once I realized what I was doing wrong, that's how I could start improving. So now instead of keeping my center over the pushing foot, I keep it over the foot that's on the skateboard. So after I push, I can just keep my center right over that foot, so I can push a lot harder and go a lot further and faster without pushing as many times.
Like a flamingo.
Stand with 2 feet on the board. We don't want both of our feet too close together, because if my center goes outside of what's holding me up, I'll start falling right away. But just like Tom showed us with the horse stance, if we spread our feet out and get low, we have so much more room that we can move our center of gravity, so it's going to be a lot easier to stay up. But with all 4 wheels on the ground, where do you think we keep our center of gravity over? Do you think we keep it over here?
No.
Where do you think we keep it?
The middle.
Over the middle! Because if our center of gravity is over the middle of the board, then our weight is spread out evenly over top of it. But what if we balance on 2 wheels? Do you think we would keep our center in the same spot?
No.
No. So we need our center over what's holding us up. So let's move our center of gravity back, press down on the tail, and this is what we call the manual. But now let's make it a little bit harder. This time, instead of leaning back, let's move our center of gravity forwards, so over top of the front 2 wheels. So we'll press down on the front, and this is what we call the nose manual. those two tricks, do you think they would work with 1 foot on the skateboard?
Yeah!
So I heard a lot of no's, but I did hear a couple yeses. So let's test it out. I'll press into the manual in the same way. But now I'll take my front foot off. And as soon as my front foot came off, all of my weight was outside of the wheels. And because there was nothing under me, gravity just pulled me right to the ground. So we can't do it standing the same way. But let's try standing a little differently, and let's see if we can make it work just by having our feet in a different position.
Told you.
So I'm actually learning the 1 foot manual right now. It's always good to be learning something new.
So now let's grab a second skateboard. And now let's use something called the dappy manual. And this is just like the 1 foot, but we'll be using both of the skateboards at the same time. But let's take a vote. Who thinks the 1 foot manual is harder? And now who thinks the dappy manual is harder? So the trick is that even though this looks cooler or more fun, this is so much easier. Because now I have two things holding me up. So if I lose my balance, I can lean all the way forward or all the way back. Well, let's take a look at Tom learning the 1 foot manual and pay attention to the center of gravity. And actually, before he tries it, I just realized I've never told him this. So, because you have your arm and your leg on the other side, one of the ways I stay balanced is by having this arm straight out. So it's further out. So let's see if we can have this arm straight out. Let's see if we can make it a little bit further. Whoa, that does kind of awesome. So as you can see, when Tom moves his arms and his legs, that's him controlling his center of gravity and figuring out where it needs to be to stay balanced. But now that we did two boards like that, let's try stacking them on top of each other. Do you think this will work?
So 2 boards is pretty cool. Good job, 3 boards.
Should we try all 5 skateboards? Alright, so let's use what we learned about the center of gravity. And let's try to make all 5 boards work.
Here it goes.
When I jumped off of the boards, did they slow down? No. They kept going. So that's what brings us to what we call momentum. Should we have Tom do an experiment? Yeah, let's have Tom do an experiment. So let's give Tom a board. Let's have him go on the other side of the room. And let's see if he can send his board underneath and jump over top of it. Let's see, fellas. If Tom has to push backwards to go forwards, what direction does he have to push to go up? Down. So it's always an equal and opposite force. So let's have him push back to come this way, and let's have him push down when he gets to the rail. Let's see what happens.
All right, so I'm gonna give a push back, and now I'm going forwards. And if I push down, whoop,
Awesome. So the way this works is that when Tom gets himself moving, his board and his body are moving in one direction. So when he jumps straight up, we still have our energy still going forwards. So even though we're not connected to the board, we'll still keep moving until gravity just brings us right back down. But now let's try something a little bit different. Now let's try grinding the rail. So if I want to grind it, I need to make sure my center of gravity is right over top of the bar, no matter what position my body's in. But the first time that I try it, I'm only going to start right here. Do you think I'll make it? Let's go down. but I stopped. What can I do differently to make it all the way
Go
across?
back more.
So, do you have a guess in the back of the balloon? Did you say go faster? So, I think he said move back, and I heard go faster from this part of the room. So I'll move back so I have more time to get more energy, and I'll put more force going backwards. So when I get to the rail and the friction tries pushing against me, I'll try and have my force going even stronger so I can go all the way across. So now, instead of balancing with the board going sideways, let's turn it straight again, and let's try balancing on the metal parts. So I'll have less space to balance on, but I'll still keep my center right in the middle of the board. Instead of keeping my center in the middle again, let's move it back to the back two wheels. Let's have the front of the board hanging over the other side. Last one, let's also have my center over the back of the board again, but I'll press down on the tail so the front wheels will be up in the air, just like the manual from the beginning. So I think everyone's all worked out. And let's see if we can put here to an obstacle board. So let's take one here and put it at the end of the edge, right here. Let's have another one on the ground at the end of it. And a third skateboard on the ramp. So this is all we usually do, but we have a lot of extra space today. So I'm going to add something to the challenge. So let's add the rail, and I'll try to do what Tom did before. This is what we call the hippie jump. So I'll get my energy or my momentum moving in that direction. I'll jump straight up in the air, and let's see if I can keep going as I jump from board to board. Going in the beginning. That way. And which way were all the skateboards going at the end? The same way. And that's because an object in motion will continue to go that way until it gets pushed in another way. So now that we talk about balance and movement, let's talk about spinning. Does anyone like to spin? Awesome. So skateboarders love to spin. And skateboarders can spin their board, or they can spin their body. But the coolest part about spinning is this giant toothbrush. Alright. So yep, you always have to brush your teeth. And check this out. Alright, who remembers when I was talking about the center of gravity? Awesome. So remember, everything has a center of gravity. A cat, a dog, even a pizza. So, do you guys think this room has a center of gravity? Yeah! Totally. And we can find it out. All we have to do is hold it up and move two hands towards the center. And the hand on the outside will have less friction, so they'll meet at the exact center. But the coolest part about the balancing point is that's also where it spins around. So if this spins around its center and the earth spins around its center, where does the skateboard spin around?
Center.
The center. That's really cool. And it does that because it's equal weight on both sides. But what happens when I turn my toothbrush into a broom? Does the center of gravity change?
No.
Probably. So let's check it out. Let's do that same experiment and cue sound effects. Cool. This is ready. And now we have our new center of gravity. It's equal weight on both sides. You guys think it would spin as easy?
Bing.
Let's give it a try. Nice. It spins pretty easy. But what happens if I take the weight and make it unbalanced? Do you think it would be as easy to spin?
No.
Probably not. Yeah, it wouldn't spin as well. So, that's pretty interesting. Who's seen an ice skater spin super fast? Awesome. So they actually have a trick, and you guys can try this at home.
So if you take all your arms and legs and you put it out super far, if you try to do a spin, you might spin kind of slow and look kind of silly. But instead, if you take all your extra weight from your arms and your legs and put it as close to your center of gravity as possible, you'll be able to spin a lot quicker. That's how ice skaters do it, and skateboarders do it the same way. All they have to do is wind up their arms and then unwind them, and that's what makes them start to spin. But the coolest part about spinning is that we live in the third dimension. Has anyone heard of 3D before? Nice. So 3D just means this. We can measure stuff in three ways. We can measure length, width, and height. But we can also flip things in three ways. So we can flip it like a kickflip, we can flip it like a pop shove it, and we can flip it like an impossible. Impossible is kind of like the board was doing a backflip, but you can also spin it like it's doing a front flip. So we have all these different ways to spin, so let's check them out.
So let's spin the board on the shoving axis first, keeping it just spinning on its side. And the first few, I'm only going to put force on going sideways. But now let's make the tail hit the ground. So the force of the tail hitting is what makes the board bounce up and get back up in the air. But now let's spin our bodies on the same axis. So spinning half of a circle, that's what we call the 180. But now let's spin a full 360. Let's try and go all the way around. So this is my favorite way to do it. But now let's do it all in the air. So now we can take the shove it. We can take the shove it and the 180, and we can put them together. You want to do this? So do the big spin?
Sure.
So this is what we call the big spin. Tom's going to spin his body half of a circle, but the board is going to do a full circle. So let's check this out. Whoa, you got it. Okay. So the board spun almost all the way. So Tom just needs to spin it a little bit more. Awesome, perfect. So now let's spin it on a new axis. So now let's do what we call the kickflip. So now let's do what we call the impossible. And this one should go straight up and down. And this is also a new axis. So my back foot started going too far forwards. So I'll do the same thing, just keep it further back while it's spinning. So now let's put two different axes together. So now let's get the board to flip over and do the shove it spinning on its side. And now that we did that, let's put all three axes together. So let's get it to spin straight up. Let's get it to flip. And let's get it to spin 360 degrees on the shove it axis. So this trick took me 5 years to learn. Tom's only been doing it for about 6 months. He landed his 9th one this morning. Do you want to see if he can land his 10th one for you guys? Yeah.
Alright, so let's see if I can flip this perfectly in all three directions. It's pretty hard.
Awesome, Tom. So, like I said, he's been doing it for about 6 months now. When he first started, his first tries were not that close. But now, his spin did the full kickflip, it came up, and it did almost the full 360, but landed about there. So let's have him put a little more power into the back foot to get it spin on its side. Let's see if he can land this one. science and practicing is all it takes to succeed. So, because like Tom, I'm on the team today, and I'm extra excited, let's see if I can try and land 4 in a row.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the spot that the teacher that let us in told me not to run over. That's where it's raised a little bit. So let's get a redo on that. Oh yeah.
Don't look at me like that. We had a basketball.
One more time. Oh yeah. So, we just did a bunch of full flippers, and now to go back to one of the first moves that me and Evan learned. It's called the ollie. And ollie is super cool because you can ollie over obstacles. So we're actually going to try to teach you it right now. So the ollie works with 3 forces, and a force is just a push. So we're going to push it once with the back foot, once with our front foot, and then the third force is gravity. Who's heard of gravity? Awesome. So gravity is pulling us all down to the exact center of the earth. How cool is that? So this is how it works. You take your back foot, and instead of stomping down, if you stomp down, there's no way the board can get up into the air. So instead we're going to flick down with our feet and pull it up really quickly, and it'll look like this. So you can see the board bounce off the ground, kind of like a ball bouncing off the wall, but it's straight up and down. So we actually have to do something else. We actually have to take our front foot, slide it up, and then kick to the side. And you can see when we kick to the side, the back raises up and then hits our back feet. So with those 2 forces, we'll use our front hand, and you'll see when we push to the side, the back wheels will come up. You can see it's all about timing, and it's kind of like we're snacking a fish. But we'll hop on it, we'll use our feet now. So we'll kick down with the back foot, slide our front foot up, kick to the side, and the third force is gravity that's going to pull us all down at the same time. So it should look a little bit like this. Cool. We just landed at the same exact time, and that's because everything falls at the same speed. So let's put this to the test.
So this is our friend Gary. Let's take Gary, a skateboard, and one of Tom's shoes. So all 3 of these things weigh differently, but even though they weigh different amounts, they will still all fall at the same speed. So let's watch them fall together in 3, 2, 1. So the same exact thing happens to us. We do the first 2 forces to make the board hit the bottom of our feet, and the rest of it is just us falling with the skateboard.
Cool. So we just saw how to do an ollie. So let's see how big we can get Evan's ollie together. So I'm going to grab this rail, and let's see if he has what it takes to jump over this rail, and we'll put the board on top.
So we're starting like this because I already did the rail, so we're just stepping it up a tiny bit because you want to make sure your experiments go up slowly so you know that they're safe.
Alright, so I'm just going to put this board on top. This should be 4 inches tall. Alright, so I'm going to put one more board on top. And this should be about 2 feet high. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have one more board for you. And does this skateboard look different? Yeah. So this one's old school. This one's from the 1980s, or it looks like one from the 1980s. And pretty much, it's a lot wider. So when I put this on top, it'll be wider and taller. Let's see if he has what it takes.
All right, so I need to put more force going forwards and more force down.
That was pretty cool. We just saw Evan go flying high on the flat ground. But now, let's use the ramp. This ramp will have a mechanical advantage. When Evan's going towards the ramp, he'll tilt his engine up and he'll get higher in the air. So, this is pretty cool. Do we have any brake teams in our house though? So we need to balance the economy first. So, we're getting brake teams. Questions and do experiments. So I think we actually have a couple more minutes. We're going to turn the show over to you scientists. You scientists can ask Evan and I a question about physics or skateboarding. Awesome. All right, head up right up front. So yeah, he was asking if we get up in the air, does that make us lose momentum? And very interesting. I would say yeah, because instead of all the force going that way, it's getting split between up and that way. So you're losing all the force that you go up with. And also, I think maybe if you're in the air, I don't think the friction of the air molecules pushing back on you, I don't think that makes much of a difference for us because of our low speed. But you definitely lose momentum when you hit the ramp, because the ramp is creating another force, pushing both back when you first hit it, but also up, like Tom said. So yeah, you definitely lose speed when you hit, or momentum when you hit the ramp. But through the air, I'm not really sure. So yeah, more space, more space for sure. And then a cool way to think about it is, if he hits a wall, will he stop 100%? Totally. But if it's 45, it's half between the wall and the ground, so that would just take half of his momentum away. Perfect. Awesome. That's science, cosine, tangent. So you'll learn that in high school. That's for that class. with monster truck ramps. Awesome. Cool. All right. How about up there? Ah, so that's a cool question. He said, couldn't you do a kickflip over it? I know I couldn't. I don't have that skill yet.
I've never kickflipped over something this high ever, so I don't think I can do it with the boards. I could try without the boards though. I've only ever done this one time. I don't tend to try and do flip tricks off of big ramps. I prefer skating big bowls or half pipes. If you've ever seen that, that's my type of skating. So I don't really like falling from a high distance to a flat ground because that's a lot of force straight in your knees. But I am feeling pretty good today, and you guys were an awesome audience, so I'm definitely down to try this. I'll probably only try it 2 times, maybe 3 if I come really close, but we want to answer some more questions, so I'll only try 3 times, tops. So the board came up. It did the front flip, but it started to spin like that, so I couldn't get my feet on it correctly. So I'm going to try and stay a little bit more straight when I do it this time. Perfect. So she said, how does the board get so high when you give that force down? That is super good question. We get that all the time. So pretty much, if you throw a ball at a wall, won't it bounce back the opposite way? Yeah. So bounce back with that opposite force. It's called equal and opposite forces. So when we stomp the board into the ground, you can watch, it'll bounce off the ground, it has nowhere else to go, and go straight back up. So pretty much we bounce it, so it hits the bottom of our feet, and we all fall at the same speed, just like Gary, the shoe, and the skateboard. All right, how about the pink right there? Good question.
Can you do any kind of flip with just the ramp? Like riding and then jumping and then doing?
I think Evan is glad you asked for one. She said, can you do any flip with just this ramp?
Awesome question. So with this ramp, if I practiced enough, I should be able to do every flip trick with my board. But there's a trick I like to do called a Miller flip. You guys can look that up online. A Miller flip is a back flip. And I can do that, but I can't do it with a ramp like this. I need a half pipe or a quarter pipe, what we talked about earlier, because it needs to be straight up and down. If I'm riding with a lot of momentum, and I'm running into a ramp that curves up, it then sends my momentum straight up and down. And when I get to the top of the ramp, I take my arm and swing. And the force of my arm swing starts pulling my body around. And when I pull the board up, once I get to this position, all I need to do is put my hand on the ramp and pivot around my hand. And the gravity just pulls me right around. So as long as I can get 180 degrees off of the ramp, then I can do the full backflip or the full inverted 360 is what we could call it. But yes, you can definitely do more tricks with more ramps. Tom likes to say that the shapes or the geometry has a lot to do with how we can do the tricks. So yeah, with more shape ramps, you can do more. All right, how about right up here? Is an old board better than a new board or worse? So they're just different. So objects evolve over time. The cars back then weren't as fast as safe as cars now. Just like cars, skateboards evolved over time. So skateboards actually started out as surfboards. And they had metal wheels and they weren't very good. But over time, this is about halfway through skateboard's evolution right now, and it's a little different. Yeah, so the 80s boards, or we call them old school boards now, they are not symmetrical, meaning the shape is not the same throughout. So if I do a trick like a shove it where I spin it 180 degrees, the board feels completely different now. So every single trick, I have to learn it both ways, and that's extremely hard to do. That doubles the work. So over time, they then developed this shape, which is very close to being symmetrical. So after you do something like a shove it, it feels exactly the same. So you can, yeah, just keep doing more tricks all in a row.
So at what age do you start skating? It's a really good question. You know 4-year-olds that start skating, and we actually know 55-year-olds that are still skating. So if you start at any age, but Evan and I started around when we were 12. But it's not how long we practice stuff, or it's not how many years we do something. It's how many hours and how many minutes and how hard we're trying and thinking about it that makes you do it. All right, let's go in the back. Yeah, so I usually break about 5 boards a year. I don't skate as hard as Evan, so Evan actually breaks boards a lot more frequently than me. If you're just starting out, one skateboard might last you 3 years.
Yeah, sure. So like a lot to do with that is that if you're just learning how to skate, you're not going to learn how to do jumps that create enough force to break it. Where I break it is usually the tail, right here on the bolts. Because what happens, and it's a lot of the time it's this trick, it's the tray flip. I usually put so much force down when I stomp that if it's not on the bolts and it's on the tail, because there's nothing under it, it wants to keep going down. And because there's nothing to stop it, it has to go up somewhere, but my other foot is stomping down on the front, so it comes up in the middle and breaks right there. And I do that constantly.
All right, right over here in the pink. So, kind of, if we go faster, do we jump higher? So there's a cool move called an early grab, which if I hit the ramp while I'm grabbing it, that's early, like I'm holding it beforehand, and more speed would get me further up in the air. But if you're standing, half of the height is the speed you get, and the other half is the pop that you have to give. So without a pop, it won't go as high, but with more speed, totally. Yeah. And you want to pick someone over there? Sure.
What's your question for Red on the end? How do I do the jumps what? So you said, so the ollies, like when I jumped over the big one, so the ollies, and I'll explain over here in case it was hard to see. So you stomp down on the tail, but lift your foot up immediately. Because if you stomp straight down and leave it there, it won't go anywhere. So you stomp down and leave the foot so it goes up, and then when it comes up, you kick the nose to the side. And when you kick the nose, that's what sends the back of the board up. So I'll break it down how we did over there. It's down and then forward. That's what gets it to level out. So because the board has the same momentum that we do, it stays with us and under us while it happens. And it also stays on our feet because we're falling at the same speed. Yeah.
Awesome. How about in the red right here?
Could you throw a kickflip down the stairs?
Oh, so yes, if I can do a kickflip down the stairs, I probably could, but again, that's not the type of skating I like doing. I was super happy to do that, but that won't give me as much joy. So this is fun because you go up. That, you only go down, and again, the reason I don't like doing that is because the higher you are, the more what we call potential energy you have. So the higher you are, the harder you're going to hit when you fall. So I don't like doing flip tricks down stairs.
All right, everybody is pointing to this science right here. What's that? Here where the S said. All right, so this is less of a science question, but yes, if we could do a dab wall ollieing.
So doing dabs is against our contract.
Yeah.
We don't support it, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's against our contract.
All right. How about in the gray? Should we jump the stage?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Okay, so just ollieing, I don't really mind jumping off because I know that my ollie will work. It's the kick flips and stuff that I don't like doing down. Oh, so that wire's right there. So that's gonna be a little scary. So I need to make sure my head stays low enough. So I need to bring my legs up and keep my head low. So I need to bring everything towards my center of gravity.
Questions? Up in the blue. Yeah. Oh, great question. So you said, where can you get a good skateboard at? So if you go to a store like Target or Walmart, they sell fake skateboards, and they're actually dangerous because they don't have good friction wheels. Their wood is kind of cheap and will degrade very quickly. it's definitely worth getting a real skateboard from a local skateboard company. If you have a local skateboard company, it's really important to support the local community instead of going to like a mall maybe and going to Zoomies and getting a skateboard, because that's just a big corporation. The small companies actually funnel that money back into young skaters that are looking to build a career skateboarding, and they do fundraisers and stuff for the community. So it's a lot better to put your money, whether you're buying a skateboard or just food. Buying local is really great. And if you don't have a local skate shop, you can go online and there's
So spot.com in Skate Park of Tampa, that is a small local shop. So if there isn't a driving distance small shops from here, then if you go online and order from Spot, at least we will go to true grassroots skateboarding, and that will help the industry and keep kids getting sponsored.
Good question.
Good things.
Right here, in the back. Oh, so I heard the first part when you do 180, but then you said would something change something. So that's great. Do you walk down and speak up? Oh, if you have your hands on the board.
Yeah, so you could do that two ways. So you could do an early grab and just pull up. So that's super weird to learn on flat ground. Doing it off ramp is way easier. But you can also do the ollie and move your feet. And moving your feet with the friction from the grip tape, that helps the board move with you. So I'll do just an ollie, and then I'll do the 180s later. Oh, actually, you want me to grab it? Okay. Yeah, so you do the 180 the same, and then you just reach for it and grab it. And one of the things I like to tell kids when they're learning grabs is it's not about reaching down, it's about bringing the board up. That's the easiest way to grab it. So if anyone learns to skate, bring the board up, don't reach down.
I like that. That's super cool. All right, let's grab it. One more big science question. All right. So how about you doing this? All right. One last science question. Let's get it. What we're using is the ripstick. So a ripstick is a little bit different because of the geometry. This has 4 wheels that are in a fixed position. So this is a little bit more predictable than the ripstick with the swivel wheels. And ripsticks, you can stay up with momentum, but there's only 2 points that are holding you up. Normally, if you're not moving and you have no momentum, you need 3 things. So you know how cameras have a tripod? You need at least 3 things holding you up. Some people ask why are we up with 2 feet? That's because you actually have 4 things, your toes and your heels. So it gets harder and harder if you're on smaller things. So that's why ripstick, it has less tricks you can do with it.
So I've seen people do like 3 tricks on a ripstick, but there's so many options with a skateboard shaped like this. A longboard you can also do tricks on, but again, the shape and the mass difference makes a lot of difference because you need to put more force into flipping it. So if you want to do the most tricks you can and experiment the most you can on a wheeled thing, a skateboard is definitely the most versatile, or the thing that you can do the most stuff on.
All right, so we do one more bonus question? All right, let's figure something out. I'm gonna pick with my eyes closed, and let's figure a really good science question. Right up there, yep. Yeah, Captain America, yeah.
Sit down, Trish.
Very cool question. Can we do a slam dunk on a skateboard? So, Evan is a specialist at skateboarding. He actually is not a specialist at basketball, so it'll be a little harder.
So I've tried this 5 times. It happens the same way every single time. I have my momentum going forwards. I ollie, the momentum is still going forwards. And when my hand hits the rim pushes the top half of my body back. And when the top half gets pushed back, my legs still have the same momentum. So I start flipping. And I land on my back every time, so I'm not gonna try it a 6th time. You always fall trying new stuff. New tricks that I really want to do are worth it because it's what I want to do and it's my creation. I won't enjoy that as much, and I am going to fall. So I experimented with it. I figured out the science, and I know that could only work if you can do a layup, and I'm not good at basketball, so I probably won't. But I'll try best here. I'll go for it. So I'm gonna try to ollie. Yes, it says practice is a word, but the slam dunk would not work. Unless you like hung on and stayed on.
So that is super awesome. I'm glad you guys are super pumped about science. Remember, there is infinite science to learn. So if you have a question, make sure you figure it out by asking questions, asking an expert, or doing the experiment yourself. Thank you so much, and have fun with whatever you're learning.